Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello. As always, I am joined by my super fabulous co-host, Kate Sittars. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by CCA student and copywriter extraordinaire, Jared Orr. Hello, Jared. How are you?
It is so great to be here with both of you. It's kind of surreal, honestly, but man, it's great to be here.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. Well, it is entirely our pleasure to have you here because you have a great story to dig into, and I think you're going to provide a lot of inspiration for our listeners and our viewers as well. So I guess probably the best place to start, as they say, is at the beginning. So way back then, what's your history, and how did you decide to get into copywriting?
For sure. So I have been in the tech space since 2018, customer success management. So managing customers and making sure that they're happy with the products and services, all that jazz, right? And then in 2020, I started blogging about customer success and tech and SaaS and posting on LinkedIn, building up a following there, things like that, building up my network. And learned that I really enjoy writing online. I'm pretty good at it. People were responding to it and people were telling me, oh man, your posts and your blogs, they're so great and this and that. I'm like, maybe I have a knack for this. Who knows? But I'm in tech. I'm not a writer. That's weird. Who would be a writer as a career? That's a dead end career. You can't make money that way.
We've all heard that. Yep.
I know, right? Yeah. It's a hobby, not a job, right? But then in 2023, so last year, I was laid off. And if anyone listening to this is familiar with the tech job market right now, it's really bad. It's been going on since about mid 2022 and unfortunately hasn't stopped. Layoffs are just, it's a nonstop thing. And I was unemployed for 9 months. It was a very dark time in my life, to say the least, but that's what got me into copywriting. So I wanted to start a business. I've always been very entrepreneurial minded. And so I kind of pitched this writing idea to my friend who owns like 30 businesses, right? Because entrepreneur extraordinaire. And he's like, Jared, you have the skills to be a copywriter. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get into the legal stuff. I just want to be a writer. And he's like, no. Copywriting is different. Look into it because it's a very high income skill. I think you'd be good at it. So I get on Spotify, go to podcasts. I type in copywriting because there's a podcast for everything, right? Yours was the first podcast that I found. So I click on it, I filter to the first episode, and I just start listening. I joined the CCA, and now here I am.
Awesome. Right, so good work with these podcasts, everyone. Thumbs up to all of us. Yes.
It works.
Good work.
Yep.
That's amazing. So once you got into the CCA and you started digging in, where did you take it from there? Because obviously, as we know, there's a lot of content in there, and some people can kind of get in there and want to go through as much as possible and move a little bit more slowly. Some people dig in and start landing clients immediately. Where did you take your journey from there?
So I really just took it one video, one module at a time. I wanted to really learn how to, write ads and write copy and just all the things that you teach. I really wanted to take it all in, write scripts, all that jazz. So, but as I was doing that, I was reaching out to a lot of my friends that were in the software space, friends of mine that owned businesses or were like VPs of marketing, things like that, right? And I said, hey, listen, I'm starting this copywriting business. Can I write some emails for you? Can I do this and that for you? Many of which said yes, which was awesome. The very first client I signed is still my client to this day. He's a friend of mine that owns a software business. So kind of as I was learning, I was also trying to implement it by writing for people and trying to pitch clients and so forth.
Mm-hmm. That's terrific.
Oh, that's so smart. Good for you for putting yourself out there too. Like best way to learn, right? Dive in the deep end.
I'm very extroverted, so I've never had an issue putting myself out there, which is good and bad. There's pros and cons to that. I've got some stories of when I maybe
tell us about the cons.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm very extroverted, so that wasn't an issue for me. But the biggest thing, maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but the biggest thing I'm learning right now is how to sell better, how to close and things like that, because that's where the mental thing is. I need to break through that. But anyway, I'm probably jumping ahead, but yeah.
No, absolutely. What for you see where the conversation takes us. What for you do you find is getting in the way there?
Well, so the first job I got out of college was a sales role, but I didn't realize it would be like telemarketing sales. So I wasn't there for very long. It was terrible. But that kind of destroyed my self-confidence when it comes to selling something. I have no problem talking about products or services that I like, or, promoting certain things. But when I have to sell something, when I have to close a deal, I'm just like, oh, wait, I don't think they're interested. It's a mental thing for me. And you probably talk to a lot of CCA students, copywriters that probably have similar hesitations. So it's like, oh man, am I really worth what I'm trying to like sell here? Right? Like, is my pricing worth it? You know what I mean? So that's been the biggest thing for me. And I'm getting better at it. So, but it's still a process.
It does. It is a process and it does get better with practice, but I really thank you for sharing that. Cause I think that, certainly as you know, from being in the group and interacting with students that a lot of us go through imposter syndrome in various points and doubting whether we're worth what we're asking for. But I also think that most people tend to think it's just them. Yeah. Like I'm the only person. Oh, look at all these wins everybody else is posting. I'm the only one who is doubting my skills or doubting my price or doubting any of those elements. So thank you for sharing that. And I also think it's interesting for people to hear that you right off the bat, you went out and you reached out to people and you said, and I think too, for some people reaching out to previous contact could be extra intimidating because then they already know you and you have to prove you have this new skill. So good for you on that front. That's extra impressive. But I think I think it will probably be helpful for people to hear that there were some elements where you're like, yep, absolutely. Full steam ahead. I am in this. And then there are still some elements that, because you are human, like all of the rest of us, there's still some elements that, like you said, you recognize that you can build on that are an opportunity for you to improve.
And I don't know if this is helpful for you or other people listening, but I think for me, honestly, it's the word sales and just removing that from my mental process around all of this. Because to me, I have this service to offer. I'm very good at writing. I'm a very good copywriter. The person I am doing this for does not have that skill set or doesn't have it to the same level as me. So I am helping them by offering this skill, and they have other skills that they're offering to their clients or customers or whomever. And so I just take selling out of it. And so it becomes, I'm offering this and I'm going to ask for the work and offer my services. But at the end of the day, I reframe the vocabulary and that helps me. So I don't know if it helps you or if anyone else listening, but
definitely. Like some of the best advice I got was, someone told me the other, like a week or two ago, they're like, Jared, you're a very curious person. So lean into that. Just be curious. Ask people about their business, what they're doing, what they're struggling with. And that's how you sell, quote unquote, just pure curiosity. And having that reframe, kind of like you said, Kate, like it really does do a lot of good for me mentally as I'm trying to sell my services.
Yeah,
that's so smart because I think people think selling is like smarmy, and versus it's a curiosity. It's genuine, and when it's genuine, it's anything genuine is great.
Well, and it's the selling in that kind of discovery call, that initial call it's the same that you're kind of selling with copywriting, in that what you're really doing is you're making a connection. After you go through you utilize your curiosity and you ask them questions about business and maybe talk about some things that they're working on, and maybe you have some ideas, then at that point, it's all you're really saying is like, oh, that sounds amazing. I can do this for you. Would you like me to do? And I can do this for you. And here's how it will benefit your business. Would you like me to do this for you? And it's less, here's my price. Take it or leave it, which I would not recommend as a selling tactic.
Finger gun, folks, for those listening.
Finger gun, a very effective sales technique. Finger gun. It's less are you gonna take me up on this offer, as so much as like, would you like this thing that I've just explained to you that you need, and you also explained to yourself that you need? Would you like this thing? Shall I send you through a quote?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go. A little
I love that it's the Wild West
bonus
Nicki
coaching
versus like, I shall send this through to you, the Victorian England Nicki.
Those are the only two Nickis you get.
Yeah.
Wild West or Victorian England.
Yeah.
That's all you got. Yeah.
And like 1960s New York City advertising Nicki
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, Mad Men kind of Nicki. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's what you get. That's what you get.
I love it.
So what kind of projects and what kinds of things are you working on now, and where do you see your because you have not you have seen a lot of success, but I mean chronologically you have not been a copywriter for that long, so that's the vistas are open to you. Where do you see yourself taking all of this?
And I'm curious too, to add to this, just to layer on the question, but thinking of your background in tech and how that factors into what you're doing right now, and if you've decided to niche, if you haven't, all of that.
Well, that's a good question. So because I was pretty well versed in the tech space, I focus mainly on tech companies, tech startups. I reach out to a lot of my connections in the tech space, things like that, right? And pretty much all the clients I'm working with right now are in tech. So I have my website, which kind of emphasizes tech and software, things like that. But I'm going to make a bit of a change to the website to make it a little bit more broad because, and here's the good news I was going to share with you before the call. So I have recently, literally as of like today, have partnered with the largest entrepreneurship network in Arizona.
Wow.
In Arizona.
That's fantastic.
I'm one of their sponsors. So basically they promote my services on their website. I write 2 emails a week for them, their newsletter and like promoting an event that they're doing that month. And because of that, like I'm going to be promoted to this giant network, which consists of way more than just software companies. So that's why I kind of want to edit my website a bit so it's a little bit more broad. I didn't take your advice about not niching down. I did niche down, but now I'm broadening my scope a bit. But that's the good news. So, and I'm again, like the imposter syndrome, because we talked about that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I ready to like do this and put myself out there to all these people that are so successful? But it's exciting, so I'm just going to do it.
Exactly.
Good
First of all, congratulations. That's
yeah.
Awesome. And they wouldn't have given you that role, that work, if they didn't think that you could do it. But also too, I think that, I don't know, Kate, of how long it was for you, but I think it was a good several years into my career before I would sit down with a new client and go, okay, whatever comes up, I can definitely do this. It was a good several years.
Honestly, I mean, I feel that way of like, I can do, like, I'm going to get through this in this project. But even with a brand new client, especially one that I'm like, ooh, I really, not that I don't want to impress all my clients, but one that especially takes me out of my comfort zone because it's new or different or something, or I don't know the people yet. There's still a level of discomfort. And so I think it never quite goes away. It's just knowing that like, I can do this. Yeah, there's some element of wanting to prove yourself, or maybe that's just me, but
I think it's a good indicator, frankly, when I mean, it's not good if it stops you from taking action, and clearly it isn't. But I also think it's a good indicator that a copywriter or a freelancer or any kind of cares about their client and cares about doing well and wants to do their best work, certainly, but also wants to do the best work for the client and have the client get the best possible results. And obviously we can't control all of that completely, but we can control what we put into it. And I think there's one side of looking at it as imposter syndrome because I'm nervous, but there's the other side of I want to do the best that I can possibly do. And that's why I'm nervous. And that's a totally reasonable, I mean, they're both reasonable, of course, but I think the leaning into, because we get to decide what the emotions mean, right? And they also, they say that, I've never been able to make this work for myself, but they say that both nervousness and excitement are the same physiological experience. So if you can get yourself to believe that you're excited, you do with that what you will, everybody. I haven't been able to figure out how to do that myself. But at the same time, too, you can also decide where these nerves are coming from and assign a purpose to these nerves. All right, these nerves are because I really care about this client and I want to do really, really well for them and I want them to succeed. Then it helps you take a little bit less of the focus from yourself and puts a little bit more on the project and on the interaction. And that's really what it's all about. I think that's probably, not to take us too far into this big, long coaching call that you did not sign up for. And I recognize that. So I apologize for forcing this on you, but for everybody who's listening, I think that when we are getting nervous, and Jared, I'm not even necessarily saying in your experience, but I think when we tend to get nervous and what about this and what about this, what about this, what we're doing is we're really focusing on our experience. We're focusing, and I mean, not our experience as copywriters, but our experience as humans. This is how I feel, and this is my experience. And the more that we can focus on our clients and our clients' needs, and our clients can remember too, a lot of times clients are getting on calls with us and they might be a little confused, or they don't know what to ask. They don't know how this conversation is going to go. Maybe they're a little afraid of being, finger gun sold to, Wild West sold to. So the more that we can focus on our clients, the easier it is for us to just have that conversation, because it's when we're in our heads, that's when we get into trouble.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's again,
I think.
Apologies for forcing a little coaching on you. But
in terms of the niching point, though, I would love for you to dig into, I mean, obviously you didn't hate working in the tech space per se. So I think it's smart that you leveraged your network. Can you speak to, I guess, that choice and saying, all right, I like this, so I'm going to pitch these companies. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's just what I knew. I had been in the tech space for like nearly 6 years at that point. And not only that, I built up a really big network. Like I said, I've been posting pretty actively on LinkedIn. I've been blogging. So people were familiar with my writing. They were familiar with my personality and my brand. And so when I was reaching out to these people, like they knew, maybe they just kind of knew my name, or they like knew who I was. Like I'd had a conversation with them in the past, things like that. So I had a podcast for about 1.5 years. So I reached out to a lot of the people that I interviewed on the podcast. So just things like that. I was just leveraging people that I had spoken to. Now it's 100% possible to be a successful copywriter and not have a network, but like if you have one, leverage it. It's huge. And what I'm doing right now, actually, nice segue into that, is the whole reason why I was able to land this partnership with this Arizona Entrepreneurs Group is because I actually had the founder on my YouTube channel where I talked to him about how he built his brand. I had both of you on that.
Yes.
So I'm doing
linked
that
to it in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm interviewing entrepreneurs about how they built their brand on my YouTube channel. And then usually afterwards, I just say, hey, listen, if you know of anyone that needs a copywriter, feel free to, put my name in their mind. And I'd love to work with them. He said that, hey, maybe you can do some work for us. And one other guy who owns a marketing agency was like, actually, we could probably use some script writing. Can you do that for us? So I've landed 2 clients just by having conversations on YouTube.
That's so good. And also, I want to make sure that people really notice the wording that you used. The, hey, do you know anybody? Not, hey, do you need a copywriter?
Yeah.
Hey, do you know anybody? Takes the pressure off of everybody, which is a very, very savvy way of doing it. They know that they're not being pushed, but it does open it naturally makes their minds go, who do I know? Oh, wait, actually me. So that's a really, really great way of doing it. Good for you.
Absolutely. And I also have a school community, SKOOL, for those that are familiar, where it's for entrepreneurs who want to learn how to write better copy for their business. So I share my tips in there. So that's another way that I'm building up an audience, building up my credibility and my brand. I do a lot of cold pitching, obviously, but like I have a lot more fun with these other methods. So I lean into those.
I love that. What a great example of getting creative.
Yeah.
And not just creative, but like you said, you get to actually have fun with it, to interview people and create content for your YouTube channel. And then to have this school group. I love it. So creative, but also clearly so, well, I was going to say so impactful, but impactful in a lot of different ways. Impactful on your business in a positive way, but also just impactful on all of the people that you interact with. When you put good content out into the world, as you do, Jared, you are benefiting anybody who comes across it. And what a fun side benefit that it also gets you some work.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Are there any kinds of businesses that you are especially interested in working with, or kind of excited to? What would be some dream kind of clients for you?
Well, dream clients would be, I would love to write for companies like Apple, Google, First Form Nutrition. It's a nutrition company based out of St. Louis. Been following them for years. I would love to write for them. I am into fitness, so like I would love to Bucked Up. Other fitness companies would be fun to write for, things like that. But I'm pretty open. I'm just, like I said, taking it one day, one lesson, one client at a time. But I do have some bigger name. Salesforce is another big one I'd love to write for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are some big ones. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. This is an idea, not just for you, Jared, but for everybody listening. Figure out who those dream clients are and make a list and put it up somewhere where you can see it, so that they're top of mind. And as you're ever talking to anybody who, oh yeah, well, so-and-so, did you hear they went over to, oh yeah, now they're working at Salesforce, and you go, bing, they're on my wall. And you're right. I haven't talked to them in a while. I should reach out to them, and not immediately to be like, hey, can you get me a job? But just, hey, I hear you're over at Salesforce. That's fantastic. How is it? I've heard good things about the company, that kind of thing. A really great way to keep top of mind, so that yes, when it comes to serendipity, if you end up getting a connection somehow to one of those companies, yes, you have that list and they're all top of mind. But then eventually, as we each feel comfortable, as we're building up our confidence, or at least getting more comfortable with taking action when we're not completely confident, then you can start working your way down the list and pitching them.
Exactly. Yeah. I have a vision board, and part of that are companies I want to write for. So it's all there.
He's already on top of it. Good for you, Jared. Yes.
I always thought vision boards were dumb, but a couple months ago I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I did it.
Right? Give it a shot. Yep. If it works, it works. If it's dumb and it works, it still works.
Yep. Exactly.
Half the battle's remembering it, really. So if it's in front of you, I mean, for me, I'm like, I forget to take my dog to the dog park. I'm like, oh yeah, the dog park's an option. Like, these clients are options. Like, it's all, what are your options? There's too much to do in life to remember it all.
That's true.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So now, Jared, if someone is listening and they're thinking, oh, I'm kind of interested in copywriting, I'm kind of interested in the CCA, what would you advise them? Or if somebody came to you and said, oh, copywriting, what should I do?
Yep. So I have a lot of freelance copywriters in my school community, and I make it very clear. I'm like, listen, you're welcome to be in here. I don't teach copywriters how to copyright. I teach entrepreneurs, but you're welcome to be in here. And I always tell them, check out the CCA. Here's their link. Here's their YouTube channel, podcast. They're fantastic. So basically what I tell people is just if you're just starting out with copywriting, just learn as much as you can. But do what I did. As you're learning, start implementing it, either just writing it out yourself, building out your portfolio, or asking people if you can write it for them. Like, hey, I'm learning how to write these email marketing. Here are some things that I've done. Can I do some of this for you? Right? Because we talked about this on my show, but people get so caught up in the information gathering phase, picking your brain phase and learning phase, which is all good, but very few people just jump into the action. So I say learn and then take action as you're learning. To me, that is the best way to learn anything, especially copywriting.
I absolutely agree. I could not agree more. It cements it too as you're learning it, right? When you're practicing it, then it cements all of the things that you were learning. Yeah.
I feel like we treat learning as and learning and doing is we learn and then we do, versus it's all ongoing.
Yes.
Forever. There's not I think our brains like that linear, I learn and then I do. And it's no, you kind of back and forth your entire life.
That's entrepreneurship for you. It is not linear. It is
not,
all over the place.
Exactly.
I learned that.
Sooner we can embrace that, the better.
So true.
Yeah. Learn to love the roller coaster. Fantastic. Well, now also, if someone is listening and they're like, well, I just got a job at Salesforce and we've been looking for a copywriter, or I just got a job at Apple or Google or
manifest this for you.
Yeah. How can, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
For sure. So my website is sharpbrandcopy.com. I'm sure that'll be linked in the description.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Instagram, starting to post a lot of content there, and YouTube. But I would just say, check out my website. You can, book a call with me there. And I would love to chat with anyone who wants to talk shop.
Excellent. We'll definitely put those in the show notes. Well, Jared, this was as much fun as our first conversation on your YouTube channel, which again, we will post the link to. So, and check out not just our interview, of course, but check out his other interviews.
Subscribe to all of it.
Exactly. Subscribe to all of it. But this was so much fun. Thank you for inviting us to be on your channel, and thank you for coming and being on our podcast and video. I think you have shared a lot that's going to be really helpful for everyone. And also, I think there's a lot about you and about your story that is going to inspire people as well, and maybe get people to take a little bit of action if they've been a little bit hesitant. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. And thank you both. Again, this was such a cool experience. It's literally the reason why I started copywriting was this podcast, and now I'm on it. So it was an honor. So thank you so much.
Oh, believe us, the honor is entirely ours. Thank you for letting us be a part of this journey.
Yep.
And with that, we will catch you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.